It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, and I got to tell you, I'm with her. Are you? Are you with Kamala? Oh, my gosh. She's Marilyn Vos Savant. She's Einstein. She's the Oprah Winfrey of politicians and presidential candidates out there. She's Taylor Swift. She's Angel Reese. She's Caitlin Clark. She's Indira Gandhi. She's Golda Meir. Oh, wait a minute. No, she can't be Golda Meir. Golda Meir is Jewish. Oh, was. Oh, okay. All right. We can't have that one. All right. There's limitations as to her greatness. Oh, my gosh. Oh, just unbelievable. Just from a week ago, Democrats, just not a week ago, the last year, you got to get rid, Joe, you got to get rid of Kamala Harris. You got to get rid of her. And just like that, we all love her, don't we? You love her, right? We all love her. She is the candidate. She is the one that articulates the ideas better than anyone out there, right? Are you with us on this? Change your vote from Trump to Kamala. Oh, my God. Oh, jeez. Hi, good morning. I'm Gary McNamara. Eric's still out. He texted me yesterday early, and it's best that he stay out. He still has a temperature, I believe, over 102 degrees. He's taken all the stuff. He's, and hopefully he'll be back soon. It's got to be killing him. I said, this got to be killing you, right? Yeah. It's like, you're missing great stuff. I know. So how's everybody doing? You ready to go? You aboard the Kamala train? Oh, my God, yesterday. You ready for some of this? Here we go. All right. You ready?
I'm jumping out of my seat over here watching this. I think people have been thirsting for this.
And I'll just say this, and I'm with Tim. I'm jumping out of my seat higher than you, my brother. I'm just going to say that.
There was a twinkle in her eye. There was a kick in her step that, when you're vice president, you're not loose. You can't, there's somebody above you. There's somebody, you don't want to overshadow them. And this was quite the coming out. And I got chills when she said, Donald Trump, I know your type. I was blown away. I was like, I kind of fell in love with her. I thought she was smart, engaging. She's funny, feisty, twinkle in your eye, punch you in the gut. I mean, everything you kind of want. I just thought it was a great, great opening act.
She looked completely comfortable tonight with the words she was speaking. They felt organic and genuine.
I'm in love with Kamala. Aren't you? I got to find the one. I got to find the Van Jones one. Oh, man. I've got the audio here somewhere. The Van Jones yesterday. Oh, my. I mean, it's just, it's icky. What did I do with it? I'm having trouble finding it. I got the Van Jones one was some of the best stuff. All right, for some reason, my computer's all over the place. We'll get to that coming up. But yesterday was, I guess you could call it, yesterday was day one. Here's the problem that they have. And by the way, we'll get to the polls and everything else because I got a couple of people panicking. Did you see the poll where she's ahead? Well, there are polls where Biden was ahead on the national vote. Look, we're going to know where we are right now, probably in a week to 10 days. And that's with the honeymoon period for her and also the convention coming up. I know the Trump campaign put out a memo, stating that, saying, well, look, a lot of people are unfamiliar with her. And that's true. A lot of people are. A lot of independents are. A lot of the undecided are. You see, some of the polls are still like 9% of undecided. How the hell can you be undecided? You have to understand that what you saw yesterday from the media is exactly what we've been telling you for as long as we've been doing this, that Democrats believe that the people that will vote for them are idiots, that they will buy anything. You notice that in all of the discussion yesterday, nobody's really talking about where she stands on the issues, because that's where the problem comes in. Wall Street Journal picked up on that yesterday and said, wow, first campaign speech out there, and she's far left. The problem for Kamala Harris is the fact that the Trump campaign can campaign all day with Trump not making any accusations about her, but just her own words. And since she's being reintroduced to the public, and these ads will be pounding in the purple states, the battleground states. Nobody says purple anymore. It's the battleground states. That is a problem. To show you this, I was reading, Jonah Goldberg, who was a never Trumper, absolutely never Trumper, former Republican, I say, wrote this yesterday on Twitter. I saw this and went, okay, this is interesting. My take: Harris should flip like a ninja and flop like a fish on a pier on nearly everything that she stands for. Own the flip-flopper charge. Who cares in the era of Trump? Go full Clinton. The left will forgive you, and the middle will admire you. Own this stuff and lose. And this is the McCormick ad in Pennsylvania. What voters down the ballot will be seen in every Senate race from Nevada to Pennsylvania until November. Now, here is this ad put out by McCormick, the Republican running for Senate in Pennsylvania.
Kamala Harris is inspiring and very capable. The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
The nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross the border without documentation.
Abolish ICE. Yeah. Is that a position you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
Would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
The food pyramid. What people
yes.
To reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
So for people out there who like their insurance, well, they don't get to keep it.
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
And that's McCormick for U.S. Senate. We'll play some of the Trump ads, too, throughout the show today, because if you've been a long-time listener to the show, we have said all along, whether it was Biden or whether whoever it was, if it was Kamala Harris, run the political ads using it in their own words. Everything that they stand for in their own words. We know where Trump stands, and where Trump stands is where the vast majority of the issues that matter to the public, the people stand. A vast majority stand with Trump. We also know that if you don't campaign correctly, you can lose, even though the majority of the public agrees with you on the issues. You can go back to Romney back in 2012. Vast majority agreed with him, but they put Obama in office. So if you campaign effectively on the issues, especially right now when the issues are affecting people like never before, that's where you win. She really can't change her stripes now, but look at that. Look at the never-Trumper Jonah Goldberg. What he's saying is what most Democrats believe. We have to lie. Here's what he said, my take. Harris should flip like a ninja and flop like a fish on a pier on nearly all of this. Own the flip-flopper charge. Who cares in the era of Trump? Go full Clinton. The left will forgive you and the middle will admire you. How will they admire you? You think they're going to believe it? The middle will admire you. Own this stuff and lose. So own the stuff that you believe. Lie about what you believe from the never-Trumper is the only way for Kamala Harris to win. And Democrats know that. The only way that they can win is by lying. And that's why it was so interesting. And we'll get to the Wall Street Journal editorial that talked about the fact going, wow, in her campaign debut, Kamala Harris steers left. We'll get to that. We'll get to Black Lives Matter, saying Democrats are the party of hypocrites for installing Harris without a public voting process. And we've got just, so much more. See, the story that came out was, it had to be when I was asleep, that the Secret Service says that, that probably Trump should not have any outdoor rallies anymore, basically saying we can't protect him. So we'll get to that and more, plus your calls and comments if you'd like to get in. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. On a hot summer day, the last thing you want to feel is a blast of warm air when you turn on your air conditioning. A malfunctioning AC system will leave you uncomfortably shifting in your seat. Not to mention, it can affect the safety and performance of your entire vehicle and your productivity. Keep your AC system running smooth and your deliveries on schedule this summer with the following maintenance tip. Replace your cabin filters at least once a year, as dirty cabin filters are possibly the most common cause of AC system malfunction, or worse, failure. Replace your cabin filters more frequently if you operate in a dirty or humid environment.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley. He's out. He still has COVID. I'm Gary McNamara. I am here. So, yeah, I found the Trump ad that I was looking for, this new Trump ad here. And if Eric was here, I'm sure he would agree with me on this because we've had the discussion many times before. What you do is you use especially the far left. All you have to do is, take them at their word. Use their own words against them because the public doesn't agree with it. You can sit there and you can take Trump's words on the issues, and that's the last thing you would do is promote him as a Democrat because the majority of people agree with it. And as we said, that way it keeps you out of it completely. You're just running the ad saying this is what this person believes. Here's the latest Trump ad. Here we go.
If you thought Joe Biden was radical, just wait until you get to know Kamala Harris. She's dangerously liberal.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. For far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
You're confident this border's secure?
We have a secure border.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
Listen, I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE, and we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's new darling of the party. She 60 Minutes this weekend proudly calling herself a radical, and she's promoting policies like saying that every single carbon emission in the country, every car, should be eliminated within the next 11 years, everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate. Do you agree that she could possibly, in this ideology of the socialist left, could splinter your party?
No, I think that's fantastic.
And then it says dangerously liberal as you hear her laugh at the end. And so that's effective. You know that Eric and I, one of the things that we've hit the Republicans on and Trump in the past is horrible communication. Horrible. Too much focus on the base and not on independence. I don't see that now. I see that the Republicans, the PACs, the Trump campaign seems to be extremely focused on we can win this thing by just talking about the issues. Don't have to get personal. And we had said about a week and a half ago when Trump at a rally was saying, I forgot what he said about Biden, and we said, don't do that. Don't hit him personally. You don't need to do it. Hit him on the issues. Hit him where people feel. I'm waiting for the inflation ads to come out, that everything is fine. Here's what they told you. Here's what the Democrats told you. In fact, the Republican, I forgot what the organization is for Congress, or Republican House Committee, whatever, should do that for all the House races, just general. Vote Republican this year. Here's what they told you about inflation. They were lying to you, and now you deal with it every single day in everything that you buy. I could talk all day on what the Republicans should do, and I think they're doing the most of it. It seems like they're much more focused than where they were before, and that's the best you can do. The best you can do is say, here's what we believe, here's what you believe. You agree with us, you don't agree with them. And then you run the ads in their own words. Because all you're going to get from the mainstream media is very superficial. We love her. She's great. She's energetic. Oh, she's tough. Oh, she'll go after Trump. They'll never talk about where they stand on the issues because they know that's a loser. And so that's where we are right now. Now expect, because she's new, that in some polls she will show a bump, especially in the general election. That's going to happen. It is up to the Republicans to define her to the American public. Now, I will say this. The media might not do it, but she was talking like a far-left liberal, as the Wall Street Journal pointed out, and we'll get to that coming up. And that's actually good for Republicans. And they need to pound it over and over and over again. One of the reasons that the Democrats picked her, said Biden, you're out, is because the whole campaign was focused on the failings of Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden's failings are her failings. You put the focus back on her. Everybody has already made a decision on Trump. They know who he is. In their minds, they've already said, all right, we've taken everything into consideration. Here's who he is. Now, who's running against him? Up until a week ago, the Democrats admitted Kamala Harris was worse than Joe Biden. Again, what you saw in the mainstream media and Democrats about Biden over the last 4 years was lying about him over and over again. They're doing the same now, and will do the same for Kamala Harris, because they believe the people that they can get to win an election are idiots. They're stupid. And they can throw Taylor Swift kind of cheerleading, a cheerleading Taylor Swift kind of narrative, and that will take them to victory.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And I'm Gary McNamara. Eric is still out. In case you just tuned in, he's got COVID. And when he was out yesterday, and when he texted me yesterday, I think, or early, it still was in the morning. Because I just got up having coffee, and he said he still has a high temperature. So he's taking all the stuff he needs to take, and hopefully he'll be back very soon. He doesn't like being gone, just so you know. And I don't like him being gone either. I miss him. All right, now, we all know that what you saw from the media yesterday, we know that's all fake. We know it. You know, we this whole thing of how incredibly excited they are, and it's just unbelievable, and wow, she's just oh, by the way, when I said Marilyn Vos Savant to lead off the show, when I was talking about the over the top, she's the best thing ever. Marilyn, still alive, I believe, today, is viewed as the smartest person ever. Her IQ is 200 and something. That's why in case you didn't know who she was. But just to Van Jones yesterday, this is because we all know what they've been saying for the last, not even year, the last couple of years. The Kamala Harris is horrible, and she's bringing Joe down, and now all of a sudden she's the greatest thing, I would say, since sliced bread, but that's like from the 70s. I got to come up with a new one, but yeah, here's Van Jones.
Free at last, free at last. Kamala Harris is unleashed. She's just brilliant. She's just, the energy that's coming off of her is the energy that's coming off of the American people. Look, I mean, this is 2008 vibes already. She's done in literally 48 hours things that were considered impossible. She got the nomination. She took over cultural. She's a cultural phenomenon now. TikTok loves her. She raised more money than anybody. She signed up 50,000 people. You can do your whole career and not get 50,000 volunteers. She did it in 48 hours. You are witnessing the birth of a cultural phenomenon, and you need a cultural phenomenon to stop a cultural phenomenon. Donald Trump is a cultural phenomenon. So now you've got two superpowers colliding, but this one just came out of nowhere. Listen, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, people were like, Kamala Harris, I don't know, she can't win, I don't like her, blah, blah, blah. All those people are marching in line and getting information.
Well, he's in a bizarre way telling the truth. When everybody were talking Democrats. Democrats said she's horrible. This is all the fake push. I'll ask you this question. Why is Kamala Harris a cultural phenomenon? What makes Kamala Harris so great? This is a question for any Democrats out there. What makes her so great? What is the substance of what she believes that makes her Obama? That makes her the most incredible human being ever to run for president of the United States. I love how he said, now the Democrats are saying she earned the nomination. Kamala Harris said that yesterday. She earned it. He said she got the nomination. Black Lives Matter. You ready? Here we go. Are you ready? Jot this down. On July 24th, 2024, Gary agreed with the position of Black Lives Matter. The left-wing organization Black Lives Matter is resisting the installation of Vice President Kamala Harris as a presumptive Democratic nominee and are calling on the Democratic National Convention to create a process that allows for public participation in the nomination process, not just a nomination by party delegates. In a statement Tuesday, the group, which rose to prominence in 2020 for organizing nationwide protests, said that a 24-hour process of talking to the party bosses is not democratic. nor is it a process Democrats should be proud of. For weeks after his disastrous debate performance, internal party pressure mounted against President Joe Biden to drop out of the race, though he resisted those calls and insisted he was in it to win. But abruptly, over the weekend, Biden dropped out. BLM, a group that predominantly aligns with the Democratic Party, well, if they're not aligning with the Democratic Party, they're aligning with the Communist Party, is calling foul on the play. Black Lives Matter says, "We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Installing Kamala Harris as a Democratic nominee and an unknown vice president without any public voting process would make the modern Democratic Party a party of hypocrites," the group said in a statement. You mean this would be the first time that they're hypocrites? Black Lives Matter demands that the DNC immediately host an informal virtual snap primary across the country prior to the DNC convention in August. We call for a Rules Committee to create a process that allows for public participation in the nomination process, not just a nomination by party delegates. The current political landscape is unprecedented. With President Biden stepping aside in a manner never seen before, this moment calls for decisive action to protect the integrity of our democracy and the voices of black voters, it said. Democratic Party elites, this is all quotes from Black Lives Matter, Democratic Party elites and billionaire donors are attempting to manipulate black voters by anointing Kamala Harris and an unknown vice president as a new Democratic ticket without a primary vote by the public. This blatant disregard for democratic principles is unacceptable. While the potential outcome of a Harris presidency may be historic, the process to achieve it must align with true democratic values. We have no idea where Kamala Harris stands on the issues. My point exactly. The Democrats believe that the people that support them are idiots. Because Black Lives Matter says, we have no idea where Kamala Harris stands on the issues. Now that she has assumed Joe Biden's place, we have no idea of the record of potential vice president, of the potential vice president, because we don't know who it is yet. A Black Lives Matter leader says this is not an attack on Kamala Harris or black women, and right now we aren't questioning Kamala's qualifications or capability. Those of us who care about the principles of democracy cannot be serious about installing Kamala Harris and an unknown vice president as a Democratic nominee without any semblance of a people-powered process. Not delegates and party elites, but actually asking communities across the country if they believe this should be the Democratic ticket. Anything less is unserious in the quest for democracy. Efforts to reach a Harris campaign for comment were unsuccessful. Of course they are. They're not going to respond. They're not going to respond to that because they believe, look, you've got it right there, where Black Lives Matter officially says we have no idea where Kamala Harris stands on the issues. Well, that's why they installed her. I don't believe most Democrats care whether the democratic process is followed. They don't care whether it's followed in the country. They don't care whether it's followed in their own party. They may not like Kamala Harris and understand her weaknesses, but they don't care. A significant portion of Democrats don't care about the democratic process. They throw it out all the time, but they don't really care about it. They'll use it as a political weapon, but they don't really care about it. We all know it. Democrats know it. We know it. They don't care. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the First Amendment. They don't care about freedom of speech. They don't care about freedom of religion. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about the separation of powers. They don't care. They just want power that fits a narrative that they can't even explain. There it is. Black Lives Matter. It's undemocratic, but we have no idea where Kamala Harris stands on the issues. You have to have had your head in the sand for years if you don't know where Kamala Harris stands on the issues. And that's why Democrats believe just change the face, have a different personality, because Democrats and independents that lean Democrat are complete idiots. They don't understand the issues. They don't care to understand the issues. They wish to remain fully ignorant, but they will be emotional on a narrative that is sitting in their mind that they can't even explain, and that's how we win. Tell me where I'm wrong on that. They make my point right there. Van Jones made my point. Just a week ago, people were saying she was horrible, and now she is just incredible. Why? Why? Why is Kamala Harris incredible? Can any Democrat explain that to me? Why is she incredible? That's what the media is feeding us. Is she incredible? Is she the one to lead this country to more freedom and success? Yeah. How? What does she believe? Black Lives Matter is saying we have no idea what she believes. Do you have any idea what she believes? I do. When I say you, I don't mean our loyal audience. You know, the conservatives in our audience, you understand where she is. But this is the BS that you're going to see. Now, can it last long? Nah, it's probably not going to last long, probably through the convention. We said this, if you've been a long-time listener to the show, you start paying attention to the polls in September and in October. That's when you really look at it. You can see where they're leaning, but already there's some panic. I got some emails. Oh, no, Kamala Harris, she leads in one or two polls. Biden led her in one or two polls, but she's going to see a bump over the next couple of weeks. That's just natural in politics. A lot of people have no idea where she stands at all, and they're going to find out where she stands. And you even see it when we read Jonah Goldberg, the Never Trumper, that said she needs to lie about everything that she believes in order to get elected. And everybody will be okay with the lie. Who's been saying that for the longest time? That Democrats are okay with the people that they vote for lying about everything. Because they know and they believe that if Kamala Harris is truthful on what she believes across the board, she can't get elected. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and he's out sick today. I'm Gary McNamara. I'm here. You're here. 866-90-RED-EYE. So we saw the story last night. We'll get into more of it, where the Secret Service is advising that Trump not do any more outdoor rallies. NBC reporting that Trump plans to stop holding outdoor rallies after the assassination attempt. Two sources familiar with the Trump campaign operations told NBC News the plans are to hold indoor rallies for the foreseeable future. So we'll get into the specifics of that from NBC coming up here in a little bit. Plus, we'll get more to the resignation of the Secret Service director. Well, she sort of had to go. She had nowhere to go with after that, but. Interesting, she resigned. Biden didn't fire her. So we'll get to that. We'll look at some of the different polling out there as we always do. But remember, as we've said before, I've covered enough campaigns. Nothing like this. I mean, everything is still new here, but Kamala Harris hasn't been vetted yet, by the way. The opposition research hasn't been put out there yet. And you haven't seen a massive ad campaign against her. She will be, if the Republicans do their job right, as they've been doing it so far, she will be defined. And when she is defined, the public will not like where she stands on the issues. It's that simple. There's no difference between her and Biden, except she might be more liberal.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. Eric is still out. He's got COVID again. I can't remember how many times it is. 3 or 4? It's either 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure which one it is. But and he's got it bad every time that he's gotten it. Yeah, I still have never tested positive. I took it after this is 2 days ago when Eric called. I had to check. I didn't even know if I had any of the tests left. And I had the test kits, and I had 2 left, so I took one, and I was fine. As I said yesterday, everyone has been exposed to it. The virus has been in everyone over the last, where are we now, 4 years now? Over 4 years? Wow. And I don't know. I don't know why I've never tested positive. Every time I've been sick where I thought I had it, because I thought I had it once, and I took the test at home, and then I went to the doctor's. And, they made me take, remember you had to take the test outside? I had to take it outside the doctor's office. They had a drive-through or that I went up to, and they, here you go, and slid it out to me in the tray. And then I had to go and take a test outside in my car, and then they let me in. And when I, tested negative, then I was allowed to go in, and they checked me, and they said, nah, you got a cold or something. They weren't even sure what I had. They go, you got a cold or something. You don't have COVID. But we hope he's okay. I mean, mentally, he's fine. He wants to be here, but he's just still sick. So hopefully we get him back very, very soon. So how's everybody doing? Interesting days that we are living in, is it not? We've got more audio coming up talking about what should the Republicans do now. What should the Trump campaign do now? What should Republicans in general do? I saw this op-ed piece yesterday, this from the New York Post, and I think it has a lot of credibility. Daniel McCarthy, desperate Dems don't care much about Harris winning as much as they do protecting the down-ballot races. By rallying around Kamala Harris, Democrats are setting themselves up for a replay of Hillary Clinton's 2016 defeat, and they're okay with that. As humiliating as Clinton's loss was to Trump, she did not drag down congressional Democrats who gained 6 seats in the House and 2 in the Senate that year. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was hell-bent on ending Biden's re-election bid because she knew how much damage he would do to down-ballot Democrats. What she saw in the party's internal polling was grounds for a coup. Biden did not step aside selflessly. His choice was between going down in flames while being blamed by his fellow Democrats for their losses to or dropping out and letting someone else bear responsibility for whatever happens. Either way, he wasn't headed back to the White House, so Biden opted to cut his losses and preserve whatever political capital he and his family can hold on to within the party. The most vulnerable House and Senate Democrats had, with good reason, been among the first and loudest to call for his ouster. Now that his dream of a second term is over, are Democrats ready for what can be, unburdened by what has been? Not exactly, because Vice President Harris is burdened by everything Biden was except age. And with Biden still in the Oval Office, Democrats can hardly say that Trump, younger and more cogent than the sitting president, is too old for the job. Nor can Harris run from the record of the administration she shares with Biden. She owns all the inflation, illegal immigration, disgrace in Afghanistan, and inadequacy in the face of crises from Yemen to Ukraine that characterized the past 3 years of Democrat government. What does she bring that's new? Which is the question that we'll ask every single day. What does Harris bring that the American public wants? Can anybody answer that question? Now, we know the Democrats, they've already said it. Anything that you say, any criticism of Harris is going to be sexism and racism. We know that. Calling her the DEI candidate is now the N-word. I don't think that the campaign itself has to use the DEI thing. The media, the conservative media will use it for them. You see it enough on social media. And as I saw, I think it was Scott Jennings yesterday on CNN. I disagree with him when he said that Harris is qualified to be president, but Biden's to blame for any of the DEI talk from Republicans because he said it first off. I will only pick a woman and a black woman. He's the one that set the terms on it. Now, I don't think she's qualified based on the issues. If he's saying that she's technically qualified because she's over 35 years of age and an American citizen, that's something different. But on the issues, what does she offer? Can any Democrat answer that question? What does she offer different than Biden? Why this insane excitement to our Democrat friends out there? What is it that she brings to the table? And that's what he asks here in this op-ed piece. What does she bring that's new? She's a woman, of course. Though the last Supreme Court justice, the Biden-Harris administration nominated, Justice Jackson, doesn't know what a woman is. By the way, Democrats, do you know what a woman is? Is it okay to say that Kamala Harris, well, she did use her pronouns. Okay, she did use her pronouns. That's in one of the Trump ads, by the way. In the less ignorant days of 2016, Hillary Clinton campaigned on the hope of being the first woman elected to the White House. Clinton knew she might have a problem winning rural and working class white men, so she chose a running mate, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, with proven appeal to them. It didn't work. Clinton lost the Rust Belt voters who'd kept their states blue for over 20 years. In Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, they didn't take to Clinton. What are the chances they'll find Kamala Harris more likable? Clinton was formidable in Democratic primaries, overcoming Bernie Sanders in 2016 and putting up stiff resistance to Barack Obama in 2008. Harris did not fare so well against Sanders or anyone else when she sought the nomination in 2020. Polling in single digits, she quit the race before the first primary. Now Harris being fast-tracked for the nomination without having competed in, let alone having won a single Democratic presidential primary ever. She may poll well in the short term because of the friendly media coverage, and the Democratic ticket will benefit from a fresh choice of a running mate. Yet none of Harris's likely VP picks is much different than Kaine, who couldn't rescue Clinton in the industrial heartland 8 years ago. Maybe Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro would tip his state to the Democratic column. By itself, that's not enough. Trump only needs to win one of the three big Rust Belt battlegrounds as long as he leads in Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina hold up. Other prospective Harris running mates, such as Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, are variations of the same theme. Men meant to balance the ticket's appeal, and all as little known outside their states as Kaine when he became Clinton's running mate. Choosing Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer would give Democrats the first two-woman ticket in presidential history, but aside from her sex, Whitmer fits the same pattern as all the others. Trump is, by almost any measure, stronger than when he beat Clinton and Kaine. I would agree with that. He's gained presidential experience, and he's survived 2 impeachments and an assassination attempt. Trump is a political giant slayer, the vanquisher of top-tier opponents from Hillary Clinton to Ron DeSantis. The only enemy ever to beat him, Joe Biden, imploded the second time he tried it. Harris and her running mate might improve on the Clinton-Kaine formula, and in a country as closely divided as America, winning is a game of inches. The only thing I would say that he did include in that column is the fact of what Eric and I have always said. Liberal ideas have now hit the wall of reality. It's that simple. The Democratic lawyer, I've got mind blank on him, said the other day in an article that we mentioned the other day and referenced the other day. He said the Democrats are out there saying, look at our legislative record, and the public saying your legislative record gave us inflation. So, yeah, there's where we are. And I do agree, Trump is stronger and more disciplined. And the campaign is more disciplined. Much more disciplined than it was before. So we shall see. But, yeah, I would expect a bump. It's natural that she's going to get a bump a little bit, as a couple of the polls showed yesterday. But it's what will it say in September? What will it say in October? That's what you saw in Hillary Clinton. That's where the downfall of Hillary came, and she knew it. They saw it in their internal polls. And we'll go over some of the polls here in just a little bit. Plus, your calls and comments, too, if you want to get in. We do have a line open, 866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Managing time is key. Successful owner-operators know that simply running hard is not enough. If it were that easy, anyone could do the job and expect the profits to roll in. It generally pays to slow down. There is a trade-off in higher costs, not to mention the increased risk for driving fast. If driving slower takes time away from you, you could find some of the ways to get it back. Never take time off during the last 2 weeks of the quarter or the last week of the month, when freight typically is abundant. Sometimes it works to your advantage to look for loads that take you through home rather than to home. The latter can interrupt your revenue stream and require additional time to get back up to full speed again. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley. He's out still sick. I'm Gary McNamara. I'm here. Let's head to you. We go to Dan in Colorado. Dan, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you. My opinion on this upcoming election is that the Democrats know that there's no way they're going to win this. And just putting anybody in there for right now, that way, when the election's over, they have 4 more years to go through and vet and process a proper candidate for the 28 election. That's just my opinion.
That's the problem for the Democrats, as we've said. The major problem is where they stand on the issues. And every year that goes by, we've talked about whether it's the Democrats and their spending and the Republicans and not being as disciplined as they should be on spending is going to cause inflation. When we've talked about the Republicans and, Trump and Vance with wanting to put tariffs across the board on products coming into the country, they're limited in what they can do on that because we've reached the point where the debt is, I think that the interest on the debt this year is going to be $1.140 trillion. 75% of the personal income tax now goes just to pay off the debt. Both sides are limited in what they can do, but the Democrats have survived on leveraging, our budget on the backs of future generations. They can't do it anymore because of inflation. That's the problem that they have. You can vet a candidate all you want, but if you stand on the side of the issues that 70% of Americans disagree on, and on the major issues, that's where they are right now. That's a problem. But, yeah, I would say that I would agree with the op-ed piece we read before, which shows that they wanted Biden out because he killed the down ballot too much, and they'd be okay. It would be more acceptable to them if Harris ran and lost. They believe that the damage on the down ballot would be less. The thing that nobody is thinking of is, again, and I don't know, I cannot tell you because we're in uncharted territory now. This is completely uncharted territory. And it happened during the Biden administration. We finally saw the end game of liberalism. You can see it. We'll spend. Well, 20% inflation. Is anybody talking about the great COVID relief? Is anybody out there saying, well, you know something, yeah, inflation went up 20%, and on the things that we actually buy, we need way more than that, but we're okay with that because the government bailed us out during COVID. Eventually, the issues that affect people, and it may not be this election. Look, people loved, one of the things we've said on the show for the longest time, people love to be BS'd. They love to be BS'd. Dad told me that. When he told me that when I was 14 years of age, I disagreed with him. I said, Dad, you're wrong. People want the truth. He goes, you're going to find out they really don't. You look at it, even logic tells you that you would think. Logic would tell you that Trump has to win because on the issues where he stands, 2/3 of the population of the United States of the voting public agrees with him. But we also know that happened in 2012 with Mitt Romney. He lost. So people love to be BS'd, and if they believe they can get something now, they're okay with it. And it comes down to that. It comes down to that. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Spending, whether it comes from a Democrat or a Republican, has to be limited. Debt has to be limited. That's why we have said with Trump and Vance, tariffs, we can tariff ourselves to success. 10% tariffs across the board, 60% on Chinese products. What about when the cost of living and inflation goes up because of it?
Links to everything Red Eye on the website, redeyeradioshow.com.
And he is Eric Harley. I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it as always. Let's head back to your calls and comments. We go to Alan in California on this election. Alan, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
Very good.
Yeah, I was listening to your inflation causing by Biden and Harris. I don't understand how they caused the massive inflation when, Trump and Biden, they both passed the stimulus when the pandemic came, which had an inflationary effect.
Yeah, I'm not talking. Look, you're calling the wrong show if you're saying that we're going to defend Republicans on spending. We didn't. When they passed the first budget, when Trump was in office and Republicans held it, we criticized them for excess spending. We've always criticized Republicans, but Democrats, as we know, Democrats were warned. In fact, Biden was warned that it was getting to the point of spending back in March of 2021 not to pass the $1.9 trillion bill. And that came from Obama economists that said the loose monetary policy and everything that we had already spent was right at the limit. Don't do it. And he did it anyway. So he gets the blame for it. The person in power, the president in power, gets the blame whether you like it or not. And that's the way that it works.
Well, okay, but Harris was not in charge. He wasn't the president either.
It doesn't matter. What she wishes to do would bust the budget. What she wishes to do, the things that she would do, she would want nationalized health care, for example. Can't afford it.
Well, that'll never happen anyway because it'll never.
Doesn't matter. It's what she. It doesn't matter. It's what she wants. You vote for a person based on what they want, and as you said, right, you're talking about what we said. They're all going to be limited by the reality that we've spent so much. Remember. It is you look at it and you say, let's just give you an example. Trump does not want a nationalized health care system. All right? Trump does not want health care for illegal immigrants. She wants it for both. That's more spending. And so
having health care for illegal immigrants actually is cost effective because they don't go to emergency rooms and charge up millions and billions of dollars in emergency room visits.
No.
So
why do you think California, why do you think that California, Vermont, and Colorado, that all went for a state health care system paid for the government, why did it fail in two of the most liberal states in the country and in Colorado? Why did it fail?
Well, I'm not aware of any state thing outside of Medicaid in California.
Okay, then you're claiming ignorance. Okay, you're claiming ignorance of not knowing what's going on. When you claim ignorance, we're done with the discussion. Okay, because there's nowhere to go if you're ignorant on it and you don't remember it. California and Vermont didn't pass health care because it cost too much, and nobody wanted to pay for it. Democrats only want health care if they can borrow the money from future generations to do it. That's why they want it on a national level. Look, we said it on the air. We're fine. Let's have the 50-state experiment. If you're California and you wish to have state health care, go for it. If you're Vermont, go for it. You pay for it, and you pay for it up front. Nobody was willing to do it. Democrats are only willing to do it if they can do it on somebody else's dime. We know this. We know who is the Kamala Harris is completely for. Kamala Harris said, my loans got paid off. My college loans got paid off. It was forgiven. No, somebody else paid for it. So please, let's not play stupid here or ignorant. You know, you're not. We know that the Democrat trolls are going to start calling now. You can't beat us. Just so you know, we know the Democrat trolls are going to start. Here it is, desperation. But the fact is, we on this show, we're conservative. We criticize Republicans all the time. Eric will tell you, when we started working together, 19 years ago next month in August, when Tom DeLay, viewed as a conservative, said that Republicans need to shut up and conservatives need to shut up because we've cut the budget as far as we possibly can. No, we went after them for that. Eric thought I was going to have a heart attack that day. I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican. You've come to the wrong place here. We're conservative. We see where it's gone. You know, that's what was going on. That's what was going on last year. There were Republicans, the few conservatives that are left, that were saying we can't continue to go down this road. In fact, coming up, I'll have the latest budget stuff is out. In fact, it actually comes. It comes from the Heritage Foundation, who created Operation, or what is it, Project 2025, and they looked at the entire debt out there, which is not sustainable. But if you wish to talk about who's to blame, that's fine. But who gets the blame for inflation is Biden and Harris. Harris and Biden get the blame. And why do they get the blame? Because the Obama economists told them, don't spend this. Because of COVID, and by the way, Republicans wouldn't have spent it if it wasn't the panic over COVID. And we know that the lies that came from that, but Trump wasn't the one telling the lies about it. You had a bureaucracy that was created in there that was not telling us the truth. And as we all know, none of them are Trump fans. And none of them are conservative Republicans. But sorry, you can't. If you're the person, if you're warned, and we don't live in the bubble of today, so we remember it. We remember when you had Lawrence Summers and others come out, Obama economists, and say, don't spend the $2 trillion. There's too much money in the system right now. And we have been against loose monetary policy for the longest time, whether it's Republicans or Democrats doing it. We were the ones that when the whole thing came out, we went after Romney. When it said China, when Romney came out and said, China manipulates their currency, that needs to stop. And we said, we manipulate our currency on a consistent basis. The Fed does it all the time. So you're dealing, if just so you know, just a warning to all Democrats out there, we do not ride any party line. We ride the conservative line, and we ride the fiscal sanity line here on the show and always have. So don't try it. But politically speaking, and that's what we're talking about, politically speaking, Biden and Harris get the blame for it. And if your argument is, well, Harris wasn't president, it's not going to hold water. She's part of that administration. The administration gets the blame for it, and Democrats get the blame for it because they were the ones in power, fully in power when that happened. And it's that simple. But we are against overspending, whether it's Democrats or Republicans on this show. Just so you know. All right, if you'd like to get in, we'd love to hear from you. 866-90 Red Eye coming up. We'll take a look at some of the interesting polls out there, some new polls just in on independence that I find interesting. But yeah, Democrat trolls, we're ready for you. Because I knew we were going to get that. It's like Trump spent, yep, he certainly did. Republicans spent too during COVID. We've learned our lesson from it. We've learned the lies from it. But Biden and Harris, they get the blame. Democrat leaders get the blame because they were warned by other Democrats. You don't find a situation politically like that where you had Democrats like in the Obama administration come out and say, don't spend this. Don't do this bill. And by the way, they would have done more of it. The Republicans stopped them from doing it. They were going to spend trillions more. Look at where they want to go in the future. The Democrats, look at Biden when you look far out what they wish to do. And I will find that let me just see. I have it here. I forgot where I stored it. And thanks to the last caller because you reminded me of that of the latest the ticking time bomb in your wallet. It's the Heritage Foundation. Okay, I got it here in front of me. Let me see. Over. Grab your key takeaways from their latest research. Grab your pay stub for June and see how much you paid in federal income tax. Over 75% of that was effectively your contribution to the interest on the debt last month. Now, this is personal income tax from people that pay. For the first time ever, the government spent $140 billion in a single month to service their debt. By the way, we've been talking about this for the longest time, that this was eventually going to be happening. By the end of this fiscal year, the Treasury will spend almost $1.2 trillion on interest alone. And the problem is getting worse. By the way, to the last caller, it's Eric and I that talked about the fact of how the Republican Party no longer seems to be as concerned about the debt as they used to, and we've been talking about that for years. For June, not a single line item in the Treasury's monthly statement was larger than the $140 billion in interest expense. It was larger than either the Social Security Administration, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Education, or the Department of Defense. Interest is now equal to more than 3/4 of all personal income taxes and over 30% of all taxes and duties received by the Treasury in June. Not only is the nation drowning in debt, but now the interest payments are an anchor around its neck. It's something that Eric and I have been warning about since we've been together 19 years, that it was eventually going to happen. And that's what you saw. And the economists saw it coming with the money spent during COVID. And then in 2021 is when even Obama economists warned the Biden administration, don't spend this. You're really going to make inflation go through the roof, and it's exactly what happened. So they get the blame. And if your argument is, well, everybody spends too much, we agree with you. I want the people that will spend less, and I have more just by what the platform is of what they wish to do. You know, Eric and I remember when George W. Bush came out and said we need to do something about Social Security. And I want a program where you can privatize it or do it another way. And the Democrats laughed at him and said, we're doing nothing. That was the last serious attempt. And Bush came out and said, look, come up with your plan. Let's negotiate. Let's do something. But we can't continue on this path. Democrats laughed at him. So there are Republicans that want to solve the problem of too much debt. There's not enough of them. There's not as many as there used to be, but there's more in the Republican Party than there is in the Democrat Party, because I don't know anyone in the Democratic Party that wants to cut. None. I don't know anybody. 866-98-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and he has the morning off because he's sick. He's got COVID. I'm Gary McNamara. I'm here. We'll get into some of this this debt thing. Thanks to the last caller for reminding me of it. But understand, any new listeners to the show, and we know when we get new listeners to the show, or when we get liberal trolls, is because they don't understand where we have always stood as conservatives, that we don't care about party. I favor the Republicans winning right now because I agree with more of their policies. I don't agree with any of the policies of the Democrats, and that's it. But when the Republicans do wrong, we'll criticize them, no problem. We don't care who it is. Don't care who's president, whether it was Bush, whether it was Trump, doesn't matter who. We will criticize them if we believe they are doing the wrong thing. But when it comes to spending, you can't look at what the Democrats wanted to spend from 2021 through now, what they would have wanted to spend if Republicans weren't stopping them, and say that Republicans are the problem. You can't. And with the panic early during COVID, where it was shut everything down, it was Trump that first rejected that.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Interesting discussion from a liberal caller who was trying to blame Republicans for inflation here. And I did get to, we were talking about the Heritage Foundation talking about debt, and I got this. Hang on, let me just see where I got it from. Jeff sent me this, and he's I know he's a Kennedy Jr. fan, where Robert Kennedy Jr. said, that's because much of the money is wasted on expenditures that don't boost national productivity, such as corporate giveaways and the military. If we spent these dollars on health, infrastructure, and child care, to name a few, then we could recover the economic vitality of the 1960s. Jeff, with all due respect, that is the biggest line of horse manure ever. There is no money. Things like, if government wishes to help with health and infrastructure and child care, states are going to have to do it and pay for it up front. To sit there and say, what, you take $100 billion? You take $100 billion from defense? What do you knock down defense to? Half of what it is right now? Defense is actually one of the constitutional duties of the federal government. Everything else, health, infrastructure, child care, that's up to states. There is no money. The money's gone. And to sit there and say, if we just transferred from defense, because defense doesn't boost national productivity, but other federal government spending increases productivity, that is a load of horse manure. God, people want to be BS'd. Dad was right. He really, really is right. People really wish to be BS'd. There is no money. Very simple. The national situation right now, somebody makes $40,000 a year. They're spending $60,000 a year. $10,000 of that is interest. So somebody, $40,000 a year is paying $10,000 worth of interest. Actually, closer to $12,000 in interest by the end of this fiscal year. And they're spending, as we know, over $60,000. They've got debt that they have to pay. They can't get out of it. They can't file bankruptcy on it of $360,000, and they have bills that they have to pay in the next 10 years between $1 and $2 million. That's the situation we're in right now if you break it down and you take off 8 zeros. But God, to sit there and say the federal government, you know, if we put it from defense to other spending to more health infrastructure, child care, which is in essence more welfare, that the federal government not spending more money on welfare and taking from defense is the problem. Robert Kennedy Jr. is delusional on that topic. And Jeff, I've seen your post before. You're a smart guy. You should know that. That's why I'm passionate, because I know, Jeff, you're a smart guy, but that's pure BS from Robert Kennedy Jr. That all of a sudden there's this great productivity in federal government spending. Please. That's why I'm talking like this, because, Jeff, I know you're a smart guy. That isn't the solution. We simply need to spend this money from defense and put it other ways, and that will be the productivity we need. That is a typical liberal viewpoint, that government spending on welfare is what creates productivity. It couldn't be further from the truth. The history proves it doesn't work of spending that. So, wow. Whew. Okay. Where else do we go? Talking about the campaign. I guess I did the whole debt thing, didn't I? I got that out of the way. All right, a couple of polls out there. Let me just see. Where are we here? I want to get to some of the polls. There was a Reuters poll that showed Harris takes the lead on Trump, 44 to 42% in a one-day poll. That got people panicking. Let me see what else is out there for the actual polling here. Hang on a second here, because it's interesting political polls. Here it is. Just trying to find out what the latest is. I may not be able to find it here. Okay, they're doing the odds here. The odds don't mean anything to me. Okay, those are questions outside of who would you vote for. I'll find it, because there was one on independents. It showed head-to-head. Trump still has a huge lead on Harris on independents. If you add everybody into it from independents, it's a smaller lead, but he still leads in independents out there. I'm assuming that if you see a 1 to 2 point difference in Kamala Harris, it's the Democrat. It's Democrats out there. I don't think there's a huge move in independents. Let's head to you, 866-90-RED-EYE, if you'd like to get in. We go to Jake in Portland, Oregon. Jake, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi, and great solo effort going on so far. Good for you there.
Thanks.
Hey, you're fine. Yeah, I am worried about people wanting to be fooled, and they would be happy that way. So my question to you is, why don't the Democrats just go all out? If Biden can't run for office, get him out of office. That automatically makes Harris the president, or Kamala the president, and she picks her VP before they even get to this whole convention. And she can sink or swim on her merit that way as a president. This is 6 months, and I don't see Biden getting better. I don't even think physically he could even do it. Why not just cut to the chase now?
You know, that's been a really interesting discussion that was going on social media yesterday, that, Harris would be stronger if she was the president, because then she could go into the election, or she could go into October being president for 2.5 months going into October. And therefore, they could say, see, she's a great leader. She doesn't have to do much. All she has to do is be there and say the right thing, and it would be an advantage to her. The problem is, we really don't know what's going on. We know that Biden is furious, that Biden is absolutely livid, and, he feels betrayed. And this comes from the New York Times, the Washington Post. He feels betrayed by all Democrats. I don't think he wants to make it easier. I tend to believe what my co-host said, Eric, that he realized he was going to lose, but he feels he's in a better position to finish it off, that the Democrats aren't going to throw the 25th Amendment at him, to get him to leave office. They might have done it because that was what the New York Post said, that they threw the 25th Amendment at him in order to try to get him to quit, that will kick you out of office. But they're not going to try it now because they have the candidate. It may not be the candidate they want, but it's a candidate they believe is better, that will help them more on the down ballot. But I sort of agree with Eric, who said, no, he wants to sit back and say, see, I would have won. She lost. There's a lot of, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I could see where Eric says that. I guess from just watching from afar, being on the other side of the country, I don't even see how Biden physically can continue even the low rate presidency he's doing now. He is so physically beat. What's he going to look like in 2 months? It's just not going to get better. It may not even be a choice for them. I don't know. That's my thoughts on that.
Well, I agree with you on it. The optics are horrible. The optics are horrible on it right now. I mean, him just trying to climb stairs, that's why I think he'll disappear. I don't think you'll see much of him at all. He doesn't need to answer questions anymore. He doesn't need to do it. Look, he's been walking around like a zombie for the last couple of years. He looks at it and goes, what's 4 more months? It's no big deal. I walk around this way. Would she be more powerful? Yeah, you can make that case. But she's so bad, she could hurt herself politically. Look, we're in uncharted territories here with a horrible candidate that even Democrats know are horrible. Look, I think you're going to get through the next couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see whether they still do the virtual roll call and put her in on August 7th. I've got to investigate more on that New York Post story. We read you the New York Post story the other day that was sourced, and they were only using one source because they used it in the singular and not the plural, where they said another source says that really the delegates are going to be told by the time you get to the convention that you should really look at Mark Kelly. I haven't seen anybody else cover that. I'll have to see. I know Jonathan Turley wrote an article on it, and he said other people were reporting the whole thing of the 25th Amendment. I got to read that column that he wrote. You just reminded me of that column, so I want to check that out. But, yeah, with Kamala Harris, who knows? I mean, she's horrible. And as the Wall Street Journal pointed out, she went far left from day one. And we read earlier Jonah Goldberg, the never-Trumper, who said, she needs to lie about everything in order to get elected. She needs to flip-flop, which means lie, and every position that she has. And he wrote every position that she has that was in one of the ads, which means immigration. She has to come out and say, I'm against illegal immigration. She has to come out and say, I'm against defund the police. I want more police out there. She has to come out and say, I want to cut spending. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. 866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley. He's out sick. I'm Gary McNamara. I'm not. I tell you, the show's getting in the way of me answering messages and doing more reading here. Oh, man. How's it going? Everybody doing? Take a quick break here. Oh, no, I'm out of coffee. All right. No more coffee. I'm feeling good. You know, one of the things is when you have to do the show alone, it's a whole different, you have to prepare in a whole different way. But the other thing that when we're on alone, and Eric knows it because he's been on alone a few times, you got to get your sleep. Not that I always don't work on getting my sleep because I'm extremely disciplined. But the last couple of days, there's a thing that I call the Gary triathlon, which is 5 miles on the bike, 50 lanes to the pool, and lifting weights for 20 minutes. And mostly I do that on the weekend, and I was going to try to do that the last couple of days, but I got my bike tuned up. And man, that thing runs so smooth. So for the last 2 days, I mean, my day has been wake up, grab the coffee, start doing show prep, call my dad, and then I get on the bike and ride 15 to 20 miles. And then I'm done. I come back. I jumped in the pool. You really didn't swim because just exhausted. And do more show prep. Put on some garbage TV. I got to have garbage TV to take my mind off it. Because one of the things is so much is going on that in order to go to sleep, I got to make sure that the mind isn't busy. And believe me, there's enough garbage TV. If all else fails, it's like, can I find Married with Children streaming somewhere? But I've been able to sleep great the last couple of nights, so I'm feeling really good right now. Plus, I changed my coffee routine. I never really drink coffee during the show. I had a cup to start the show, and it lasted the first hour. So that was good. All right, let's head back to you. Let's go to Michael in Denver. Michael, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Mr. McNamara. First of all, thank you so much for taking my call. I just want to say you are one of the best at explaining columns and articles and breaking it down in a way we can understand. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And wishing Eric the best as well. Absolutely. What I was going to talk about, the kind of the rhetoric by the media that Kamala Harris, potentially being the first woman of color to be president, that this is going to energize younger voters. I am a young person myself, and as much as, the Democrat Party likes to believe, we are not obsessed with identity politics. We care about what she has accomplished. She has done nothing to help mitigate the border crisis. She has done nothing to really bring down the national debt and spending. And another, to the previous caller's discussion you were talking about, when we talk about kind of, Social Security, Democrats many times bring up these scare tactics that says the Trump administration is going to try to cut Social Security entitlements. He never said he would cut entitlements on Social Security for people with mental disabilities, things like that cannot work. Those are scare tactics by the Democrats. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're 28 years old, which means your age group would have been out of college 5 or 6 years. I guess my point is, when you look at colleges, for example, where identity politics leads everything. I mean, we see it with the anti-Semitism that exists on campuses today that some students, not all, but some students have embraced. We'll probably see a lot more of it today at Capitol Hill with Netanyahu in there. But that's all about identity politics. Jews are evil. That's identity politics, is judging people by groups, saying, for example, as you said, well, she's a black woman, therefore, if you're a black woman, you need to vote for her. Or if you're somebody who cares about identity, then you need to vote for them because a black woman there needs to be the symbolism of her advancing, irrespective of where she stands on the issues, which, of course, is absurd. Everything has to do with where you stand on the issues. And eventually, identity politics has to go away, and you have to be judged on your character or the plan, what your plan is. If you're running for president, what do you actually want to do? It can't be based on identity. But I wonder, and I think it would be natural that young people are naturally, they're naturally rebels. You are when you want to get away from your parents. I mean, I was. When I got my first job, it's because I didn't want, with the allowance, with my allowance, when I got my first paper route, well, the allowance came with chores. Then when I got the paper route, I didn't have to do, I figured I wouldn't have to do the chores anymore. My mother clarified that, though, that no, that was an allowance. You still have to do the chores because you have family responsibilities and obligations. But I just, what I wonder is there a turn in young people because it's been the adults in college, it's the adults in high school who are telling you that identity matters. It's the adults that are telling you that if you're a man and you wish to become a woman, all you have to do is say so. Most people hear that, even young people, and say, okay, I got to go along with it, but I really don't agree with it, until they finally rebel. Do you find part of that is happening with young people?
Well, I think a lot of it with young people is just they're pressured to do what their friends think the right thing is. And you look at, Trump with the polls, I guess 25 to 54, he's winning a lot of younger people because people realize, okay, who's going to make inflation less for us? Who are we going to have to pay less taxes for in the future to pay off the mounting national debt? We care about the issues. We're not obsessed with identity politics as much as the left pretends that we are. And, I think it's a lot of peer pressure, fitting in with social circles, like you said, Mr. McNamara. And again, just thank you so much for taking my call and letting me.
Well, thank you. Well, by telling me what you told me, it shows you're a critical thinker. So keep it up, Michael, and thanks so much. You have a wonderful morning here and a wonderful day. 866-98 Red Eye.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And I'm Gary McNamara. Eric is still out. Hopefully he gets better very, very, very soon. And thanks to Jeff. Jeff, he was talking about Robert Kennedy before, and I'm not a Robert Kennedy fan. He is, but we had a great conversation messaging each other, and I agree with him on the fact of we need better audits with the Department of Defense. Yes, there's a ton of things that we could do, and we need also, when we talk about the budget and things like that, again, when it comes to trillion-dollar projects that end up failing miserably, can't do that. And we'll get into those discussions, I'm sure, in the future, but I agree with him on that. Yes, does everything have to be audited better? Absolutely. All right. On the polls, there's a number of polls that are out, but I don't have time to go through. We're going to start here on the show when we go through polls. We're going to start looking at the demographic, the political demographic makeup of each and every poll, because polls can be manipulated. We've talked about this before, and as we get closer to the election, I think we should do that, just so you know if a poll is representative of the public at large. Because the problem with polls now, I was looking at one of the, I think it was the Marist poll, and someone said the Marist poll out there that came out yesterday, and someone had responded, the Marist poll was off by 10 points in 2020. And that's true. And when you start looking at in polls of demographic makeups, political demographic makeups, and for example, if it's 33% Republican, 33% Democrat, and 33% independent, that actually isn't indicative of where the population is right now. And so really, with so many independents coming out now and people rejecting the Democratic Party, and also a number of Republicans rejecting Trump, the never-Trumpers, whatever, sometimes I think it's tougher to get a handle on polling. And that's why I say, look, be very careful. When it comes to the polling, Eric and I look at just the momentum, the inertia of a particular direction that it may be going in. Kamala Harris in the polls probably will see a point or two because she's brand new. What did I see that in one of the polls out there? Who was it that they were talking about? Oh, Gavin Newsom. 1 in 3 people had no idea what Gavin Newsom stood for. None. 1 in 3. 33% of people didn't. It's like, really? What you have to understand is you're listening to talk radio right now. You're listening to us, which means some of the smartest people out there. Hey, my dad told me people will buy BS because you're listening to the smartest people here. More BS. No, but if you're listening to talk radio, you're more inquisitive. You want to know whether it's Jeff that who tweeted something out a while ago, and we went back and forth. Pretty good discussion. The last caller, I think it was Michael from Denver. All critical thinkers. We may disagree on some things, and some things may get me to get a little excited. And it just, that's the Irish in me. See, now I'm playing identity politics. But you're critical thinkers. You're always analyzing. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't pay attention to politics. I saw someone the other day, it was a meme or something where it said, those people that say, I don't pay attention to politics. I don't care about politics. You're wasting your time on politics. Oh, so you don't care what your taxes are. You don't care how much the government takes from you. Apparently, you don't care about your money anymore. That's fine, huh? And it just went through all the different things. Of course, people care about politics. That's why all the entertainment shows went political. That's why The View isn't talking weekday morning women's stuff that they did, stereotypical women's stuff, as they might have done 20 years ago. Because everything is political now, because it all affects our lives in some way. So it's hard to know all the issues, and I think that's why some people say, I'm not political, because that's the easy way out. I choose to remain ignorant. Well, congratulations. Wow. That's some virtue signaling out there. It's become actually part of virtue signaling. I don't pay attention to politics. Wow, then you're a better person. Thank you for that. But looking at the polls, Eric and I will start breaking them down because, new polls come out all the time. The last caller, Michael in Denver, was talking about the polling out there. I've seen 2 polls, Trump and Harris, 18 to 34, that are probably 15 points apart. One of them is inaccurate, or both of them are inaccurate to a certain extent. So we'll start doing that as we normally do as we get a couple of months out. When we do a poll, start looking and say, okay, here's where we see a weakness in this particular poll because we don't think that it's covering the political demographics right on that. So there, like I said, there are a couple of polls out there show that Harris is in the lead in the general election popular vote. Same thing was happening with Biden, and every time it happened with Biden, even the last couple of weeks, it was like Biden's up by 1. Biden takes the lead. It's like it's one poll, and it's like that wasn't legitimate because there wouldn't have been the push to put him out if Democrats thought he was up by a point or 2. They wouldn't have pushed him out. They knew it wasn't true because they believed their own internal polling. And so, like I said, you're going to see Harris probably get a little bump here or there because she's brand new. As I've said, can any Democrat tell me why Harris should be president? What is the issue that you would want where the majority of people in this country back her? The issues of concern to the American public, inflation. And we've seen the Democrats And they'll be coming around more now, as we call, more trolls. Well, inflation is Republicans' fault. Well, I'm not going to defend Republicans on spending. Republicans have spent too much, but Democrats have spent more. And Democrats would have spent more. We saw what Biden wanted to do, but the Republicans stopped him from doing it. He didn't care about inflation. He wanted to spend trillions more. The inflation is what actually was the public opinion that helped drive. And remember the whole Manchin thing, and then Manchin felt burned afterwards. Well, I didn't even do it. I didn't know they were going to spend that much money. I didn't know they were going to do this and do this with the money. He played stupid, but the public now realizes. It was Julian Epstein who wrote the column the other day, the longtime Democrat lawyer who worked for Democrat causes, who said, look, there's the problem. You can't sit there and say, look, we're going to provide for the infrastructure. We're going to do this because everybody knows they're borrowing the money to do it, and that's what caused inflation. That and loose monetary policy. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let me just see. I'm trying to see if there's anything. Oh, that's what I wanted to say about the poll of young people. Where I've seen there's 15-point swings in the polls right now. You'll know as we get closer. And then what we'll do is when we get closer, we'll start looking at the polls that were the most accurate in 2020 and say, here's what these particular polls say. To me, that's the fairest way to do it. You don't know if it's the most accurate way because you're going on past history, but it's all you've got. Because we could pick out the 3 or 4 polls that were the most accurate in 2020, and they wouldn't be the most accurate in this one. You won't know until after. And then after, you won't care. All right, 866-90-RED-EYE. Let us talk to Bill in Little Rock, Arkansas. Bill, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
What's going on?
Is this Mr. Clinton? No, I'm kidding. Hi, Bill. Welcome.
No. I was going to mention him while I was at it. Every time there's a party down here at the library, the rhinos show up there too,
Oh, really?
So there's definitely something going on. I don't know how people could say that the past isn't being recreated right in front of us. Nobody wanted what Kennedy wanted, and they just shot him. They tried to shoot Trump the other day. Everybody doesn't see that that's a coup attempt, a coup-like activity.
Well, I don't know who they is. Yeah. There has been no they that has been verified. I know that's out there on social media, but we don't do that. We don't speculate on things like that. We have enough trouble dealing with the facts that are presented to us. And right now, when you look at that, what's going on? Look, on yesterday's show, it was all over social media. I got a couple of messages. Why aren't you guys covering that Biden's dead? It was all over social media, all over X yesterday. And again, there are people that support policies that I agree with that are conspiracy theorists and will throw out BS all the time. And you have to deal with that. But that's what was going on social media yesterday. Well, I'm not going to get involved in that. Eric and I aren't going to get involved in it. We're going to talk. Number one, we like to talk ideas. We actually like to talk ideas more than we actually like to talk politics. Not that I don't have an interest in polls and the politics of a particular situation as to what the Republicans should do to politically attack Democrats in order to win, or now attack Harris in order to win. I'm fine with that, but I like talking ideas even better than politics. But we really don't get involved in the wild speculation because we don't know. It's an exercise in futility. Well, did you guys hear this? How many shots were fired? I don't know. I don't know. Well, there's questions? Absolutely, there's questions. Because there's questions does not lead me to a conclusion. Evidence leads me to a conclusion. And it's not just some evidence, it's enough evidence where I can know beyond a reasonable doubt that it leads you somewhere. But yeah, that was last night. Was that was going all over social media overnight that Biden was dead. You actually had some conspiracy theory websites telling other conspiracy theory websites that they were going to lose their credibility. I'm not kidding. They were going to lose their credibility because they were saying that Biden is dead, and the other conspiracy theory page was saying they're not dead. There was actually a bet. Well, if we're wrong, then we're not going to post anymore. And then I saw yesterday the other conspiracy theory site said, see, you're wrong. Biden isn't dead. You need to not tweet again or X again. So, no, we don't deal with that. So when you say they, there's not much of a discussion because I don't know who they is. Hopefully we'll find out. The problem with the attempted assassination of Trump, you can't trust the FBI. You can't trust the Secret Service. Who do you trust? The only way you can do it is if you get a bipartisan group of people who we can trust, that are a part of that, and that if they don't agree with the report, they can put out, their own report. But that's the problem when government continually lies to you, then conspiracy theories bloom. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley. He has the morning off. He's still under the weather. I'm Gary McNamara. I'm here. We've got so much to talk about. Where should the Republicans go and where should the Trump campaign go when it comes to, fighting the political fight against, I almost said Hillary, against Kamala Harris and the Democrats. We'll get to some specifics coming up. Where it looks like Harris is going, Wall Street Journal looked at it and went, wow, she's far left right from the gate. We talked about Jonah Goldberg, who is a never-Trumper, former Republican, never-Trumper, who said she needs to lie about everything. Now, he used flip-flop, but she needs to flip-flop on every single thing that she actually has said before that the Trump campaign and other Republicans are using to attack her, that she needs to flip-flop on everything. So even never-Trumpers are telling her, you need to lie about everything. We have some exciting times coming up still.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. Eric has the morning off. He is under the weather. Hopefully he returns for tomorrow's show. I know he's still at a temperature yesterday, but he was on all the medicine. I forgot what it's called. I just can't remember what the name of the medicine that he's on. But hopefully he's back. I know I think it was still like 102 yesterday. So, but I told him, I said, you know what you're missing. He said, I know. All right. Where where's the story? The Washington Post had the story that the Secret Service recommends no more outdoor rallies for Trump following the assassination attempt. Report in the Washington Post. The Trump campaign, according to the New York Post, not the Washington Post, but says the Trump campaign appears to have heeded the agency's concerns and is scouting indoor venues for future gatherings and not currently planning any large outdoor events, they reported. So, look, they're rallies. Rallies, I think, are necessary just to ensure that you get, especially in battleground states, that there's a lot of excitement for you. But I don't believe it makes any difference whether it's indoor or outdoor. And indoor is a lot easier to secure, and probably if that's what the Trump administration wants to do, it's probably because as they sit back and they look at the failings of the Secret Service, they go, we need to protect ourselves. And so probably a good move, and he'll be able to fill the arenas, and it'll still be a show. But that's what really rallies are for. That's my view of rallies. Rallies are to go into the battleground states and show there's excitement for you. And you know when Trump is there, there is. It doesn't mean you're going to win an election, but it's part of the process. It doesn't convert most independents. What converts independents is if you can articulate to them, and it's never been easier right now, why you better vote for me than the person of the other party, whoever that still may be. She's not the nominee yet. But whoever that may be, that you're better. And it's never been easier to do that, to promote the fact that inflation, border, national security, insanity of the grid, of EVs. It's not hard. On all the major issues that America cares about, they agree with Trump more than they do Harris. That's it. That should be the end of it. But it's not, because you have to communicate that effectively. Independent Bob called me yesterday. It's like, what do you think? Hold on, I have to throw my hands up in the air, because that's how I imagine when he's talking. You know, they've got it. This Independent Bob. They've got it tired of California. That's good, Bob. That's good. Because he was talking about the fact that, Newsom still is polling lower. Well, how can Newsom poll lower? If you see Newsom out and you compare Newsom to her, well, easy, because people tie him to California. He's California's governor. And I do think, I think Independent Bob's right, they need to run ads tying her to California. She's a California politician. Do you want to be, the question of this election, do you wish to be California? And I can see in the Trump ad, there's people talking. Just a couple of people talking back and forth. Well, I can't vote for her. She represents California. I guess if you want to be like California, you could vote for her. I don't wish to be California. And so I'd like to see that ad. Other than that, the ads that they're putting out are fine. And I did chuckle yesterday. I mean, it was a video of Trump golfing while all insanity is going on with the Democrats. On one end, you have Black Lives Matter saying, this isn't democracy. On the other hand, you have posterior smooching like you've never seen before, and none of it based on any substance or lack of substance on the issues of Kamala Harris. Oh, she was wonderful. Oh, she's the next. She's an Oprah politician. She's like Taylor Swift. Oh, wow. She's just incredible. Oh, she has the smarts of Einstein. Oh, she's just, it's like, shut up. And everybody knows it's fake. Last week, she was the worst. Last week, and for the last 2 years, she's been the one that Democrats have said is dragging Biden down. And now she's this transformational force out there. I don't think many people buy it. But this is the easiest campaign for the Republicans to run. All they have to do is say, here's where she stands on the issues in her own words. And that's what they're doing. And just so you know, since we were talking about posterior smooching, you know we don't do that on this show. If Trump and the Republicans were off in their communications, God, you know we would be pounding them. But I see the ads that they're putting out extremely effective, to the point where when the Never Trumper, Jonah Goldberg, came out, and this was the McCormick for Senate ad in Pennsylvania, where all they're doing is playing, this is Casey supports this. Casey supports, Harris on this and this and this and this, to the point where Jonah Goldberg said, all right, she basically has to lie about everything. Every one of these opinions, she has to be 180 degrees different, and that's how she'll win. And everybody will appreciate if she lies. That's where Never Trumpers have gone. She needs to lie about everything. We told you. We're mirroring what the Democrats and the Never Trumpers want her to do. And that's lie about everything. They wanted Biden to lie about everything. Lie about. Why do you think Democrats lie? One of the things that we've said about conservatives or Republicans is don't lie. You don't need to lie. Don't lie. We've said to Trump, don't lie. Don't lie. You don't have to lie. They've got to lie. Trump doesn't have to lie about anything. The public agrees with him on it. On things that were viewed as radical in 2020 are now totally mainstream. People have come to Trump's opinion. Just promote it. That's all you got to do. You don't even have to exaggerate anything if you're a Republican right now. Nothing. All you need to do is tell the truth. Jonah Goldberg on Twitter yesterday, by stating he was watching the McCormick for Pennsylvania ad, and said this is a weakness for Kamala Harris. Her weakness, everything that she believes. Well, in politics, that's a pretty big weakness. And so his advice, lie about everything on the opinions that we know you hold and have held for a significant period of time. Lie about it all, and everybody will appreciate it when you beat Trump. And that's why it's probably frustrating. There's probably why there's a lot of nervous Republicans right now, because it's like, if we can't win now and we're on message, how stupid are the American people? And I don't like holding that opinion, because that's the opinion that Democrats hold. But they've been successful in holding that opinion. Democrats believe the people that vote for them are complete idiots. That's why Jonah Goldberg said she needs to lie about everything. She needs to lie about all of her core beliefs, that that's not what she believes, even though we know that's what she believes, and that will get her elected. And I know Republicans look back at 2012 with Romney and go, but believe me, Trump is not a Romney. But on the major issues, it was landslide numbers. People agreed with Romney. They voted for Obama. And so that fear is sitting in some Republicans' heads. But I believe that you can effectively, I don't believe that they effectively marketed Romney to begin with. But you can effectively market now where Trump is. One of the reasons is because all the liberal ideas have now hit the wall of reality. Spending, reality, inflation, boom. Border, no problem. Every state's a border state now. Every city is a border city now. We've all felt it. Those are the two major issues. And on foreign affairs, you're going to see the Jew hatred from, you're seeing the Jewish hatred already right now. I think it's up to 50 Democrat senators and congresspeople will not be at Netanyahu's speech tomorrow. And as you know, Biden nor Harris met him when he came to the United States. They're anti-Semites. They hate Jews. They practice identity politics. That's what they believe. They judge people by groups and not individuals. They support Hamas. And all you have to do is my co-host Eric Harley's political advice. Just point. And in their own words. And that's what the Republicans are doing right now and the Trump campaign and PACs are doing. They are playing the politicians that they disagree with. They're playing political ads that have them saying things in their own words. To the point where the advice now is, all right, the Republicans are so effective in these ads showing what you actually believe that you need to lie until Election Day and say those things you don't believe. That's how bad it is. Your calls and comments coming up. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust as needed. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, avoid hugging the right side of the road, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds, especially crosswinds. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Eric has the morning off. He's still got COVID. Hopefully he's back soon. Let's go to James in North Carolina. James, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Hi.
Hey, Mr. McNamara. How are you tonight?
Very good.
This morning.
Very good. What's up?
Well, I had an idea I want to run by you. Your call screener informed me because I wasn't sure. I sleep during the day because I work at night, and I miss a lot. But he informed me that 3 of the big 4, I call them the big 4, have publicly endorsed Kamala, but yet the deity of that core has not yet. And I just think it's interesting that I feel like if the Democrats were sure about Kamala, then they would have had Joe just resign instead of stepping aside, as they put it, and just, let her take over the presidency and be the incumbent. I don't think they're through meddling. I think they show a lot of fake polls to see how much excitement they can drum up, and I think they're looking at the real polls behind the scenes. Everything that they say publicly is a lot of times opposite of what they say behind the closed doors.
Yeah,
so I don't think they're done meddling yet. I think they still got arms in the bullpen, and I believe that Hillary might be behind the curtain with a blow dart.
Well, their time is limited, James, because a week from tomorrow,
Yes,
on Monday night, they came out, which would have been last night. They came out with the fact that the virtual roll call is still expected to begin a week from tomorrow. So there's really no time. If you had 2 or 3 weeks, you'd know where the polls are, because they even understand you may get a bump of a point or two. But if they and they came out and said it's going to start a week from now and should be done by August 7th, once that virtual roll call starts, if there's nobody else in there, she's getting the nomination. So that's the time limit now. And again, I said it yesterday, and I still believe if the polls came out now and were horrible, there would still be that push. And we did mention that New York Post story that only had one source, and so we were skeptical of it. The story that said that the delegates were being encouraged to vote for Mark Kelly come convention time. It's like, well, we're not getting to the convention. If the DNC has come out and said they're still going to hold the virtual roll call, you're very limited on time to get anybody else in there, and nobody else is showing any interest. After Manchin threw in real quick, and then that was gone, right now she's it. And unless she is that unpopular where the vast majority of polls show her way down, and the DNC decides to cancel the virtual roll call, which I see no indication of, she's it. She's it. And I did see the other thing is that Obama isn't going to, I forgot where I read this yesterday, that Obama is not going to give an endorsement because he wants to be the one that whoever is picked, he will be the one that will provide unity because he believes he is the one that can coalesce all of the Democrats together to unite behind whoever the candidate is. I'm just telling you that what I read. I'm not saying I necessarily believe it. Oh, man. Let's go to Bob in Ohio. Bob, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Hi, Bob. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I've been listening to you guys since the end of W. I enjoy your logic and your humor.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My point being is that there are two ways to fix the economy. Tank the price of oil, which will happen if Trump is elected because oil futures will go through the floor, and turn the American farmer loose. That gets rid of inflation, core inflation. People have more money. There'll be more money available, and you can lower interest rates.
The problem is if you one of the places, as we know, the farmers were not for when we didn't ship stuff to China, and then Trump gave them billions of dollars. The farmers weren't happy with that at all. If you're going to unleash the farmers, you've got to open up China.
I'm all for that free trade.
And other countries. I don't know if the Trump administration is. That's a problem. Yeah. That could be a problem. I don't know, but you're going to need to again do free trade, and we don't know what is yet up with the Republicans when it comes to free trade or Trump. So we will see. But I agree with you completely. Without question, open it up. And oil and natural gas, yep, we can be completely and totally energy self-sufficient if that's our nation goal. Our goal as a nation, and we can also sell it to other countries.
Call and join the conversation. 1-866-90-RED-EYE. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Eric's still under the weather. You and me this morning, 866-90-RED-EYE, if you want to get in. To the last caller, I agree completely, and they have been pounding on that, the Trump campaign, and Trump has, about oil and natural gas. He did it the other night. And it was really, really good. On food, yeah, I agree. Unleash the American farmer. Last time with the tariffs, not only on China, but on other countries, as you know, Trump was taking the money from the tariffs. What he said was he's taking money from the tariffs, which means higher consumer cost, and was giving it to the farmers. And the farmers said, we don't want the money, we want the trade routes. Don't close these trade routes, because if they close, we may not be able to get back into them for years. So that's the problem when you start doing it, because if Trump puts 10% tariffs on every single good that comes into the United States, that means every single country will retaliate with tariffs of their own. If it's 10% tariffs on everything and 40, 50, 60% tariffs on everything that comes in from China, then the prices will even go up by more, and the retaliation will happen on American products, which then, as we saw, farmers lost market, and they didn't care about the subsidies. They wanted the markets. And that's the problem with tariffs. But if he did say, I'm going to unleash the American farmer, I'm going to unleash oil and natural gas, that's wonderful. I do understand, Eric and I both understand, tariffs on China if there's no other solution to it. My problem with, and Eric's problem, I can speak for him here, on Republicans and tariffs is when they lie about it and say, oh, we can tariff ourselves to success. Don't lie like Democrats lie. Don't lie and say that in economics, if you increase the cost of doing business, that it just benefits us and there's no hurt. Because anybody who has any basic economic knowledge, and conservatives do, know that's not true. If you're going to put tariffs on China, say why. Say we're doing this because they're involved in unfair trade practices, they're stealing our intellectual property, and we can't have that. They need to get in line. And so we're banding together with all other free trade countries from Europe, from Asia, Canada and Mexico that we have a free trade agreement with. And we are going to trade within ourselves, and China will be left out. But to say you're going to tariff every product that comes into the country is pure insanity. And Trump says it at the rallies, and everybody cheers as if it's a great thing. And then they send their surrogates out there. Their surrogates were out there saying, well, there's no harm. Nothing will happen. And they say, well, inflation didn't go up when Trump put the last tariffs on. Well, number one, he didn't do it to this extent. But number two, inflation was low, and it might have not affected inflation to a great degree, but it definitely had job losses from American companies that had to pay higher costs for steel. And so that's the thing. Don't BS. There's no reason for Republicans to BS. There's no reason for Republicans to lie. And I can't say this enough to the Trump campaign. Don't lie. Stop it. They have to lie. You don't, so don't. And you win, because the American public agrees with you. But if it's for China, say the American public may take a little bit of a hit on this, but we need to do this in order to ensure that China doesn't cheat. And the American public, I believe, will understand at that point. They might understand, they might not understand because of their sensitivity to increased prices. But don't lie about it. Don't lie and say there's no economic effect to raising the cost of doing business. Don't treat fellow Republicans as Democrat politicians treat the Democratic Party and the people that vote for them as if they're complete idiots and morons. Don't do that. But no, I agree with you completely. The last caller, that's what we're going to unleash. The American farmer can produce more, and we can sell our food worldwide. We can do it. And if any other country is involved in unfair trade practices, then we do go after them. And oil and natural gas, the same thing. Now, stop saying that if we unleash the oil and natural gas, it's going to pay off the debt, because that's not going to happen. I guess that's not technically a fib, because it's a projection out. But if we unleash all oil and natural gas, it's not going to pay off the national debt. So that's not going to happen. The other thing is we're going to see it today. You saw it yesterday, the number of pro-Hamas protesters inside the Capitol being arrested. Here's Mike Johnson yesterday talking about Kamala Harris not going to be at Netanyahu's speech.
Alone, it has never been more important than it is right now for us to stand with our closest ally in the Middle East and our traditional partner in all these things. And it is outrageous to me and inexcusable that, as the leader mentioned, that Kamala Harris is boycotting this joint session. This is an historic moment. It's an important moment for the country for all the reasons we've said. The gravity of the situation cannot be overstated. And yet, Kamala Harris will abandon her seat. As you all know, as the vice president and as serving as the president of the Senate, she is supposed to be seated next to me at the rostrum. She will not be there because she refuses to attend. She needs to be held accountable for that, and she needs to be asked very searing questions about why. They went down the roster to find out who else would sit in the seat. Senator Patty Murray declined the opportunity as well. She will also boycott the event, skip the speech. They landed on Senator Cardin, who is retiring from the Senate, so has little political risk. The idea that they're making political calculations when our ally is in such dire straits, fighting for its very survival and fighting back against the horrific attack in October is unconscionable to us. America's relationship with Israel has always been bipartisan, and it should stay that way.
It's really amazing because now they're being as blunt as they possibly can when push comes to shove and saying, Kamala Harris is saying, I cannot get elected unless I get the pro-terrorist vote. Unless I can get those who hate Jews to vote for me, we can't win the election. We need the hate Jew vote. That's the Democrats' official position now, as he mentioned. Cardin's going to be there. He's retiring. There's no political side down for him. He's retiring. But if you're not retiring, if you're a Democrat, you better be careful because you need we hate the Jews vote. And Kamala Harris and her campaign believe they need the Jew hate vote. They need the pro-terrorist vote, or she's afraid she can't win. That's where we are. That's how insane it is. That's why if the Republicans do their jobs and effectively communicate where they stand, it still should be an easy win. And so far, for the most part, let's say 90 to 95%, I'm happy the way that the Republicans so far are running the campaign. Even the early commercials out that we had played earlier, which has Kamala Harris saying it in her own words. Those are the best commercials that you can possibly run. Run her in her own words. She's being introduced to the public. You know, there were a number of interviews out there asking people, what specifically do you like about her? Well, she's a woman. Oh, she's a black woman. That was it. On the issues of inflation, the border, anti-Semitism, they can't answer that. Let us head to we go to Josh in Salem, Oregon. Josh, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, Gary. Hey, about 19 years ago, I won a pair of boots from the radio contest when you and Gary first started, or you and Eric first started.
Cool.
I still got them. Hey, right. This whole thing with Kamala is I believe the Democrats, they've wanted her out. They've wanted Biden out, and so this works out great. They know no one. They don't want to burn their backfield with Newsom or any of the guys that, potentially could run. They don't want to burn them out now on this cycle. Let her have her chance. Take her an old yeller after, and be done with her and be done with Joe and let Trump clean up this whole freaking mess, deal with this whole mess, and then they're fresh for 28.
Well, I mean, look, I don't necessarily agree that any political party wishes to lose an election. I think what they see is there's nobody better than Kamala. That Gavin,
I feel that the Bamster, because he didn't endorse her, he's kind of wished and washed around. Well, we'll let the powers be decide.
Who was this?
Who was it? He's not. Obama.
Oh, okay.
Obama. He didn't.
Right.
he didn't throw his weight behind her. He said, well, let's let the leaders, go through this. And so I don't think that, they want to just be done with this.
Well,
I think the internal polls show they can't win.
Right. And I agree. I think their internal polls probably show it's an uphill battle for Kamala Harris, irrespective of what the polls say over the next couple of days. But understand, unless the Democrats change on the issues, what's going to change 4 years from now? Because Republicans Republicans are not going to stop the spending. It's impossible. They cannot cut the budget by 20 or 30%. It's impossible. We're in a situation where Republicans are going to find it hard to stop inflation themselves unless they are able to stabilize spending in some way. And that's the situation that we're in. And right now, the Democrats show no interest in changing their opinion on anything, whether it's the radical transgender movement, whether it's critical race theory, whether it's climate change, whether it's spending, inflation, whether it's the border.
Well, when you had mentioned with Bush, trying to deal with inflation and with the debt years ago, 20-some years ago, that was at $6 trillion back then. And now it's astronomical, but these rhinos, these omnibus bills all through the Obama years where they're just, just pass it through. And, there was no real budget. And then you had the COVID, and then you had, Trump.
But it's hard.
He had his spending stuff.
I'm not making excuses, but it's hard because the American people say they want to cut, but they don't want to cut anything that affects them. The reality is there has to be major changes in the entitlement programs. Math tells you that.
You're right.
Math tells you that, and neither party is willing to do it. Eric and I think what's going to happen is they're going to have to increase the age slowly like they've been doing to begin with. They may not cut benefits, but they're going to have to increase the age. And Eric and I really believe, and nobody's talked about it yet, that what they'll do is they'll increase the corporate side of FICA. Not the personal side, but the corporate side, and then it's a stealth tax. And you see it from Republicans. You see it with Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley, who's viewed as a conservative, thinks the biggest failure of the Trump's 4 years was cutting corporate taxes. He wants corporate taxes higher. Government loves. Go ahead.
How many of these bills in the last 8 to 10 years have been these gigantic omnibus bills where no one reads them, and when they read them after the fact, it's already been passed. We got to vote for it before we find out what's in it, and then everybody screams and yells about it until that ends. That omnibus bill stuff.
Yeah, but keep going. But if I knew what the spending was and Eric knew what the spending was, they knew what the spending was going to be. 866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He is Eric Harley, and he's still out with COVID. Well, look, whoever wins, there's still challenges ahead. But I started thinking, and we'll lay it out here at the start of next hour, because we had a call earlier. We were talking about, all you have to do is, all the Trump campaign has to do is point at Kamala Harris and say part of the Biden administration, inflation and everything else. And then it was we got some Democrat, as we call them, trolls, calling, saying, oh, no, it was Trump, it was Trump, it was Trump. No. It was Biden, and Biden was warned by the Obama economists that inflation was coming if he kept spending the money, and then he kept wanting to spend more money. But think about it, and we'll get to it. All the programs that Democrats want to add on to the budget, where we have it's unsustainable now. You can't do it. We'll tell you coming up next.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.